it is a primary night.
Sure is.
In Michigan. Woo. And Donald Trump is currently winning with 65% of the votes to Nikki Haley's 30%. But what's really interesting here, look, Trump's going to win. Nobody cares. What's interesting is the Democratic Party.
Do you see the uncommitted votes?
Do you see who's in second place?
It is uncommitted.
Yep.
That's fascinating.
Over 20,000 votes of uncommitted. Now, Biden's at 79%. Uncommitted at an earlier iteration when I think they were only 10% in. Uncommitted was at 16.4%. So it is dropping a little bit as there more votes come in. But 20,000 people said, no, Joe Biden, we're leftists, but we hate you.
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
Do you think a lot of those come from Dearborn, Michigan?
A lot of them, I think, are Arab Americans in Michigan who really want to not have the U.S. backing
Look at
Israel.
This. Yeah, uncommitted. New York Times. Now they've called it for Joe Biden, sure, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens when the rest of these votes come in. And it looks like around the Detroit area is no, there's not enough data coming in there. Where are we seeing uncommitted? It looks like. Uncommitted,
I'm seeing it in
likely is around Dearborn.
Yeah.
Sounds
about
Actually, I mean, it's all over the place.
Look,
uncommitted basically means far leftist.
Yeah, he's not popular with the far left at all.
No, and Rashida Tlaib came out today. He's the head of her party.
I love it.
She came out today wearing a keffiyeh in a video talking about how she voted uncommitted for Joe Biden against Joe Biden, and she was happy about it.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So it's like, does the deep state anti-Israel now?
I don't know. I think that there's a lot of conflict when it comes to what to do about Israel, because the left does not like Israel at all.
Well,
but there's a lot of Democrat Jews in America that are like, what the hell's going on around here? They were completely unaware that the left absolutely hates them. They were like, I thought it was only the Nazis that hated us. What's going
surprising.
on?
Yeah, well, it turns out Jew hate is a nonpartisan.
It is a very
issue
nonpartisan
globally.
Thing. Yeah,
there's always that's always a thing. But yeah, it is really pretty shocking to see this, and you wonder if this is going to affect Biden's policies. We had Bushnell the other day with the self-immolation. He came out, obviously, and then you had White House staffers using that to call for a ceasefire.
Unreal,
right?
Americans
and you also
are still being held hostage in Gaza, and you're asking for a fucking ceasefire? You fucking morons!
Oh my goodness, Phil,
that's so stupid. You're like, it's like there are actual Americans, and the answer when you say this is like they're not real Americans because they're Jews.
They're dual
Who says that? That's ridiculous.
Who do you think said that?
Those people are retarded.
Have you guys seen the map showing the left-right overlap of like support for Israel and support for Palestine? And it's like the far left. It's like Democrats are pro-Israel and Republicans are pro-Israel, but then like the far right is pro-Palestine and the far left is pro-Palestine. Yep. It's just absolutely
What do they call that where it connects?
Well, that's horseshoe
theory.
That's right.
But the only reason the left is pro-Palestine is just because they're anti-West, and it's all just they're commies. That's all it is. It's just garbage communists.
There was a bunch of commies marching around in Brooklyn.
Well, look, man, I've been complaining about commies and yelling about commies, and like this has been ongoing for the better part of a decade. I wrote an op-ed complaining about Tom Morello, complaining about what's his name? He was the damn it, his name slips my mind now. He was a Republican. He came out to a Rage Against the Machine song. Tom Morello had a problem with it because he was using a Rage song, and he's a Republican. Paul Ryan, that's who it was. And I wrote an op-ed complaining about Tom Morello and his commie ass, and I got all kinds of crap from the metal press because they're like, oh, how dare you call him a commie? Because they didn't have the balls to admit it yet.
He has a Lenin quote on his pedal. Is that we pulled that up?
Yeah. But again, the metal press
says arm the homeless, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Well, arm the homeless.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't got a problem with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but
yeah, no, I don't know. Second Amendment.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Or
wait, hold on. Government funded armaments for private citizens? I'm down. If there's one thing I'm in favor of the government funding, it's giving each individual private citizen arms to bear.
Yeah, I just saw it as a guitar. I had no idea what it meant. I was just like,
okay.
I don't know.
The government could just give that out. Give out.
I was saying
they seize
what we should have
yeah.
is, look, you guys want universal health care. Agreed. Then we get the Department of Gun Services, the DGS. And whenever someone turns 16, they can go in and you get a long gun and a sidearm and a box of ammo for each.
This is the if that happens, you could actually change the ATF. You could put that into their charter and get rid of all the other stuff they do,
right.
and then we could actually have a legitimate reason.
No, this is
for
perfect.
The
ATF
yes.
should run facilities where when you turn 16, you can go in and you are given a it's probably, look, I know everyone's going to say it should be, a Glock or it should be 1911. Well, it'll probably be a Glock. It's going to be something lower cost, versatile. You don't get to go to a government service facility and be guaranteed, like a high-end, SIG or something like that. You get what you get, a military spec, AR-15 or whatever, but the government pays for it and the ATF runs it, and they also sell tobacco and alcohol.
Nice.
So you can go in, pick up a pack of cigarettes, a six-pack of beer, and get your gun.
Zero problems.
When you're 18? 18 years old?
No, well, 16 to get your first firearm. And, and then I guess for alcohol, 21 and
I
tobacco
could get
18.
behind
Could we
this
throw
way
Zin
better
in there?
than the,
Can Zin be part of that?
No, you don't want to give them Zin.
CATF.
Listen, man.
Zin for the win.
The Department of Zin, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Listen, man, it was a breeze to stop drinking. Quitting smoking, that shit was hard. Get that nicotine away from me.
I am all in. Look, tis the season. I am all in for Zin. I'm a big fan.
Apparently.
What is the argument against allowing 16-year-olds to go in for their first gun?
I don't have
No?
None.
I don't.
None.
Yeah, there's no argument.
No argument. I actually believe that if our culture respected and had gun training and safety stuff, there'd be substantially less
I
shooting.
think that's so true. I mean, we learn all kinds of things in school. They're constantly pushing bizarro sex ed, but we never have any gun safety.
In the 60s and
They used to.
70s, there were kids that would go to school with the gun rack and a rifle, and there were no shootings. They were semi-automatic guns with magazines that had more than 10 rounds in them. Kids weren't shooting each other. Like, that was perfectly normal.
Back then, I think they were using clips, so they probably had 10 rounds.
Some of them, yeah.
When I was in high school, I saw, people, they'd roll up gun racks.
Yeah.
Park.
Especially
when I was in high school, you could also get a note if you're 18 and you could smoke at school.
Oh, wow.
Outside. Hence the Zin now.
You
That's
really like that
wild.
smoking, don't you?
That's why I went to a Catholic girls' school and we didn't have any of that stuff. And then I went to Quaker school and we definitely didn't have any of that
Until
stuff.
the right learns how to make a big ask, they're going to keep losing everything. Because the left keeps saying, we're being reasonable. We're just saying, 18-year-olds shouldn't be allowed to have handguns. And now it's, you have to be 21 to buy a handgun. Like, what? That's insane.
Yeah.
That's unconstitutional.
It is.
But here we are. Because
Well,
the right should be like 2-year-olds should have guns.
And you should,
And then it's like, okay, well, you want to negotiate? Let's make it 8-year-old. 8-year-olds can have guns. All right, fine. 16 will stop there.
See, I'm going to get my guitar and I'm going to write "Arm the Unborn."
Oh, I love this. You know what they should do is they should arm those little embryos in Alabama.
Yeah,
Those ones, they should just all be armed.
Arm the unborn.
You know what I always think about those IVF, the little IVF babies? It's like, if you have one, right? If you have one of these IVF embryo things or whatever, and then it's like 50 years later and it's still viable. Well, they're viable for a pretty long time.
50 years?
I don't know if 50 years is accurate, but what would it be like to be born 50 years after you were conceived?
Oh my God.
Would you be weird? Like, would
10
you just
years.
be
Or even
10
longer.
years?
10
or
years
even
or
longer?
Or even longer, it says.
Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah.
Like, would you be out of step? If you ever look at like old movies from the 50s or 60s or 70s, people don't look like that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No one looks like Peter Falk anymore. You know what I mean? Like we just get like as tastes of attractiveness change, we all just start looking different than our, people 20, 30 years ago. So
Wow,
would you just
55
look
years?
weird?
55 years?
55. We could time capsule an embryo and then
Right. And then somebody could give birth to it.
Well, that's kind of freaky because
Totally freaky.
there's an argument to be made for storing genetic material in IVF embryos for 55 years in the event that something happens. Like, imagine there's a mass
Oh, damn,
chemical
that's messed up.
nuclear war, radiation, and pesticides sterilize all humans. Then we go to our emergency embryo bunker
In like
that
the-
gets
in like
replenished
the-
every 5 years.
It'd be like in the Arctic seed vault.
Yep.
The same.
And it's like, well, humans have lost the ability to reproduce. Go into the embryo vault. We need to make some more humans.
That is wild. And then those humans would probably be able to reproduce because they're all there.
Yep.
They have all of their parts.
That's a good idea for a
and
movie,
pieces.
actually.
This is terrific. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's like some kids grow up in this lab in you know, in the Arctic or whatever. And then when they get older, they
and
find
they're,
out
they're
that
there with the seeds.
and the
But you have to look like the age
people
that you-
all people on Earth are like 70 years old. There's no one younger than 70 because that's when everyone became sterile due to pesticides, chemical contamination, and war and stuff.
Bummer.
And so
Born in a bag.
it took 20. They
And
were
you're
all
born
in
in
their
a yeah thing like a
yeah.
Gestated
I guess-
in a
There you go. Gestation
I,
is
all
the
I,
word.
every time I see those things, I'm like, that looks like bagged milk because the like the plastic things on them. It's like it's hooked up. It's like you know, an embryo
But
in
it
a
would be-
bag or whatever.
It would be so interesting,
It'd be weird, like born into an old folks' home.
right?
It's like Benjamin Button. Serious case of
That'd be
Benjamin
so
Button.
weird.
You're gonna be like kids in 20 years looking like Duran Duran's like, this is not a good look now, or like or like In Excess, you know, like, is this cool? No.
Well, just your facial features would look so different.
Yeah.
And what would be different about you than your contemporaries of the same age group, but who were conceived in a
Well-
normal time frame?
Here's a crazier thought. If we stored embryos for up to 55 years or figured out how to do more than 55 years, I wonder why the 55 years is a limit. And then 55 years later, there's no races anymore. The world is just like in South Park, olive-skinned bald people. And so they're like, if you'd like to bring back Irish people, we have 100 Irish embryos, we have 100 Chinese embryos.
So crazy.
Which
And
ones
then-
would
it
go
would-
for more money? It would be like such a black market and
Nah, they destroy them all. They'd be like, you can't have them. They destroy them all. They'd be like,
Well,
we have
you
to get rid
can't
of it.
destroy-
That's a
like-
good idea for a movie.
yeah, in
Purists,
Alabama you
leftists
can't.
are like, we can't allow them to bring back
Yeah,
race.
yeah.
It
Oh,
would be a
wild.
catastrophe.
Yeah.
I love when I'm on the show and we come up with movie
You can-
ideas.
Or it's like
It's my favorite.
a group of like traditional like what's the right word? People who reactionary types. They're like, the world was better 200 years ago, and so they break into the embryo vault, steal a bunch of, and then seed the different races
Mm-hmm.
to return them, and then it's like 10 years later, there's a bunch of kids who have race, but all adults don't, and they're like, these kids must be stopped. You know that?
It'd be like
you know
on
that?
Star Trek when they get
No,
rid
it's
of
that
the
movie where
genetically engineered
it's
people.
the movie where the kids are part animal. You see that one?
Oh, the Netflix thing.
Yeah.
Was that Sweet Tooth or
Sweet Tooth.
Yeah.
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 Imagine that, but like it's in the future and there's no race anymore, and then all of a sudden a bunch of kids are born and they're just different races, and then people go around killing them.
Yeah, he's like the
I
part
thought
he was
that
like
was
part
really
deer or whatever.
interesting. I
Yeah.
watched
That
that
movie was
because
weird.
an actor that I used to know in New York was in that, and so I think he's really talented. So I watched the film and I thought it was so bizarre,
Yeah, it was.
really.
Yeah,
weird.
it's like some
Yeah.
weird hippie dippy message about like
Yeah.
being an animal and living in the earth is better or something.
and like not technology.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, what was it like? Some plants got you sick?
something like that. I don't remember much of that.
I can't remember.
I mostly just remember the
how it
antlers. I got
happened.
kind of like intrigued with antlers.
They were like there were
after.
flowers,
Yeah.
and if you were sick, the flowers would start to grow or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they would grow. And so if you had those flowers growing around your house, then they'd be like, okay, we got to go kill that guy. Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
got to
yeah.
go.
And then if you got into the flowers, you would get sick. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.